Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome this afternoon to the OUR Education Series Student Information Session, Applying for Summer Program for Undergraduate Research. Just a reminder to everybody, this is a virtual event, so this event is being recorded. Please mute yourselves and turn off your camera to ensure the optimal experience. If you have questions, use the chat feature or unmute when invited by the speaker. So just a reminder for our Europe and early exploration scholars, to receive credit for attending this event, you must complete the event evaluation, and you can scan the QR code right now and it'll take you to the form. And we'll also have this code available again at the end of the presentation. So just a reminder, the mission of the University of Utah Office of Undergraduate Research is to facilitate and promote undergraduate, student, faculty, collaborative research, and creative works in all disciplines throughout the University of Utah campus. We acknowledge that this land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. The University of Utah recognizes and respects the enduring relationship that exists between many Indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. We respect the sovereign relationship between tribes, states, and the federal government. And we affirm the University of Utah's commitment to a partnership with Native nations and urban communities through research, education, and community outreach activities. And so we will get right along. My name is Angie Leiva. I'm the Academic Program Coordinator here at the Office of Undergraduate Research, and I'm also the point of contact for the SPUR program. And today I am joined by two of our undergraduate research leaders, and I will let them introduce themselves, starting with Allie and then Abigail.
Hi, my name is Nopper. I am an undergraduate research leader, like Angie said. I specialize specifically in STEM and also pre-awards. And yeah.
I am Abigail Stringfellow. I'm also an undergraduate research leader. I deal with a lot of different things because I've been involved in a lot of our programs, so I'm kind of involved in a lot of stuff.
And so moving right along, so you are all here to learn about the summer program for undergraduate research. And in case you're wondering who these lovely folks are in the photo, this is our summer 2024 cohort where we supported 53 different students. And this is a great fun picture we have from our undergraduate research symposium. And you'll learn more about that later on in the presentation as well.
Okay, so about SPUR, if you haven't heard about SPUR before, it stands for the Summer Program for Undergraduate Research, and it is a nationally competitive 10-week summer research experience under the mentorship of a University of Utah faculty member. And this program provides opportunities to gain research experience in a variety of disciplines, connect with a faculty mentor, and see if you like research and if you would want to do it full-time as well. So some overall program information. So the program runs from May 22nd to August 1st, 2025. You will be hired as a temporary employee by OUR, and you will receive a $5,000 stipend, which will be dispersed throughout the duration of the program. All participants will also have access to the University of Utah ID cards, which provides free public transportation and also access to all of the university libraries. And non-University of Utah participants that are relocating to Utah for the duration of the program also are eligible for up to $500 for travel reimbursements for their round trip travel.
Allie, I am just going to interrupt you right there. I just want to apologize. We have a slight typo in our PowerPoint. The program actually runs May 19th through August 1st, 2025. And so I just want to make sure that is clear to everybody.
Okay, so some student expectations for the SPUR program. You will be expected to do 35 to 40 hours a week on research and program-related activities. Some of these activities can include bi-weekly meetings with your faculty member, program events such as the initial orientation, opening luncheon, grad school mini expos, and also education series events such as this one. Summer socials are not required events, but are strongly encouraged to kind of get to know your peers and some of the faculty members that are part of the program. And you will also be expected to present at the Undergraduate Research Symposium, also known as URS, at the end of the program, and also submit to the Undergraduate Research Journal, which is called Range. So these are both great opportunities to get opportunities that undergraduates normally don't have for research, such as presenting and also publishing your research. So for eligibility, you must be a matriculated degree-seeking undergraduate student in the fall 2024 semester, which is beginning or continuing college career in fall 2024, and also not graduating before December 2025. And unfortunately, concurrent enrollment while in high school does not meet this eligibility requirement. Since this is a nationally competitive program, applicants do not need to be a University of Utah student, but you must be at least 18 years old by May 22nd, 2024, which is preferred overall, but it is required for if you decide to do on-campus housing. And if your status prevents you from working in the US, you can contact Angie for any questions. If you are an international student, you must be a degree-seeking undergraduate student at the University of Utah or possess documentation for work eligibility. And international students should also consult with their institution's international office before applying to the program.
So how to apply is you're first going to go to our website, which has a SPUR database with all of the projects for this summer. And there you'll see a synopsis of each project with the mentor that's with it and some other information and just kind of a way to get to know all of the projects. And you're going to choose your top 3. The next step is you're going to complete the online application, which is on InfoReady. You're going to use your CIS info if you're a University of Utah student, and you will have to make an account if you're a non-University of Utah student. And Angie is going to show us the home pages for both of those.
Yeah, thank you, Abigail. And so if you go to this website link, our.utah.edu/SPUR, this is exactly what you will see. This is our homepage. And like Abigail was saying, there is the same how to apply information there. It'll give you step-by-step how to apply, how to create an account, and what's going to be required in the application process. And in 2 ways, you can view the 2025 projects. And so they're highlighted here on the screen. So you can click either one of those links and it'll take you to the same exact page. And when you click on those links, either one, this is the page you'll get to. And so it lists all of our eligible 2025 projects. And so if you want to view by college, you can sort it that way. If there's any keywords you want to search by, for example, if you're interested in something specifically in psychology or economics or architecture and planning, or even a little more defined than that, you can search it there and it'll pop up there. So if you were interested, for example, in that very first project, which is Latinx criminal justice professionals, you could click on that Learn More button and it'll give you exactly what Abigail was saying, project background. It's not an exhaustive description of the student role, but it'll give you a really good sense of like what will be required of you were you to be accepted to be this faculty's mentee for the summer. You can see the student benefit outcomes. So like, what is it that you can gain? What is it that you can benefit from working with this faculty on this project? As well as if you are curious about the faculty mentor themselves, we do include a mentoring philosophy, and you can kind of see the style of mentoring that the faculty will have. A lot of the times they will be pretty explicit and they will tell you things like, weekly meetings, one-on-one, bi-weekly, however it is that they choose to communicate with you. Oftentimes they have an outline of what is like kind of to be expected, big, milestones throughout the 10 weeks. And so you're welcome to learn whatever it is you need to learn about the faculty there. And so for those of you that are not familiar with InfoReady, if you, again, go to the links on how to apply, there's many places you can go. In every single individual project on the OUR webpage, when you click Learn More, there is a link that says Apply. And so if you click on that link, it'll take you to the InfoReady homepage. It looks exactly like this. Highlighted in the yellow box is where you can find the application itself, and it's just listed as Summer Program for Undergraduate Research, SPUR, Student Application 2025. On there, you can also find the eligibility requirements, as well as the due dates for the application and the reference letters.
For your application, you're going to be submitting a variety of things to us. So we've got contact and academic information, personal statement, which I'll discuss a little bit later, your choice of top 3 projects from that database, your resume or CV, your transcript, and 2 letters of recommendation, which I'll also discuss a little bit later. So why should you apply to SPUR? Ali went over this a little bit with saying you're going to get a experience with research as an undergraduate student, which is not totally common. So it gives you an opportunity to learn about that academic field that you're interested in. You can choose to do a project in the field that you're majoring in, or you can do one in a different major. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's sometimes cool to go across disciplines and learn some things about other majors that you won't learn it if you're just taking your classes. And you're also going to get that hands-on experience, so that's going to add to your graduate school applications or just applications to awards or jobs or internships. And that's just going to show that rather than just learning in the classroom, you're also having that hands-on experience. This program is also a great networking program. We have those socials and all of those events that are part of the program, and you're going to meet a lot of the other students through that. And of course, you're going to be working very closely with your faculty member. So that is going to create a pretty strong bond that will give you a lot of choices in the future with them, and along with the other people who are in their lab. This also gives you the opportunity to publish. Ali also mentioned this in our undergraduate research journal, which is called Range. And in that, you're going to be the primary or sole author, and you will get to put that as well on applications, which really helps set you apart. So some tips for your application. I'm going to go over your personal statement and then the letters of recommendation. For your personal statement, what you're doing is writing about 500 words. Try to hit the 500 words, even though it says or less. You're going to make your application as strong as possible if you're telling us all 500 words. So in this statement, you're going to answer, why are you applying? What do you want to do in SPUR? And how will it help you in the future? So this is not a way to just give us your resume again. So you're not just going to be going over, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. What you want to do is give a little brief highlight of the experiences you've had before, and then use it as a lead into what skills do you have from that experience that will help you be able to be successful as an undergraduate researcher. So this is going to be like training, certificates, just skills like time management or using certain softwares. All of that will be really important to say in this personal statement. The other thing that you want to highlight is your personality. So it is called a personal statement. You're going to want to make it unique to you. And it's going to show us what about you as a person is going to make you a good researcher, rather than just looking at your resume and saying what things have they been doing. We want to see who you are, and we want to see why you are going to be successful and passionate about research.
I also just want to make a small interjection there. Thank you for all of that, Abigail. Also, it's really important for students as you're kind of going through looking at the projects. I always encourage students, really read the project descriptions, the project backgrounds, and, talk about in your personal statement, like, what is it about this this particular project makes you excited? What makes you want to join this research project and be this faculty's mentee? A lot of students, I will say, when they're writing their personal statements, will often say things like, why are you applying for SPUR? Because, I want to go to grad school. I want to go to medical school. I want to go to law school. While those are all valid reasons, it doesn't tell us or the faculty really too much about you and like what drives you, what is your motivation. And so really important to read through all of the projects that you're interested in, kind of going through if a project is specifically saying, and Abigail touched on this, if a project is specifically saying, you will be working with Python, that particular coding, and you have experience working with Python, you should definitely highlight that in your personal statement. You should talk about how you have that experience. And so definitely things to look at that can help strengthen your personal statement.
Thanks, Angie. Yeah, that was great. And you want to keep that all in mind while you're writing that statement. For your recommendation letters, you're going to need 2 of them. And ideally, they're going to be written by faculty members. So professors that you've been in the classes with, or professors that you've had experience with a mentor-mentee relationship before. This is going to be the ideal writer of these letters. And if you don't have those kinds of relationships that will meet those kind of requirements, there are a lot of other options, but these are the kinds of letters that are going to be the strongest. So while you could go get a letter from your advisor or a grad student or a TA that you've worked with, you definitely want to put all of the work into getting a professor first before going to those secondary options. And in these letters, you're going to provide them with your research experience, your skills, your assignments or projects that you've completed for other classes and for their classes. And even if you're still in their classes right now, it's good in your emails or meeting with them to ask them about this, to just remind them about everything that you've done. So this is your opportunity to tell them what you want them to say in the letter and tell them, this is what I have done before. Can you help me highlight this? And this is going to also help you create a stronger relationship with that professor that you're asking for the letter of recommendation from. So you, rather than just being another student in their classes, now you are actually a student that they know a little bit more personally, since you've told them this information about yourself.
Again, sorry, Abigail, small interjection, everybody. This experience, definitely, if you don't have sort of like those relationships currently with faculty, former or current, now is the time to definitely start thinking about fostering those relationships. Because you will probably be going to these or going to faculty again for letters of recommendation for other research opportunities, for graduate school, medical school, internships that you want to potentially do in the future. And so, yeah, if you don't feel like I don't currently have that kind of relationship where I feel like I can approach a faculty and ask them to write a letter on my behalf, definitely start thinking about nurturing those relationships right now. It'll only benefit you further down the line as you pursue other opportunities. As well as I do want to highlight, and Abigail and Allie, I'm sure will tell you more about this later on, when you are asking for letters of recommendation for faculty, it is not uncommon for them to maybe ask them if you could send them a copy of your CV, resume, a copy of your draft personal statement, just so they can get a little more information about you and kind of like what it is the program you're applying for. Also recommending you can send them the OUR SPUR link to. So in case they're not familiar with what SPUR is, you can kind of give them a little information about it. You could share the project link for the individual projects you're applying for. Also, so the faculty, your letter writers, can get a sense of like what it is they should be saying. What type of opportunity is this? And that'll also guide them and like help them to write you the best possible letter of recommendation.
Okay, so we will be holding an application workshop in early January. So if you need help with your application, specifically personal statements, you can come with prepared drafts and we can review and kind of work together, and any other questions that you have about the SPUR application as a whole. And the time and date for this is still to be determined, but for the most up-to-date information, you can visit our website at the events calendar, or also look out for our monthly newsletter that we have.
And so just a reminder of some of the resources that the Office of Undergraduate Research has. If you're not familiar with UROP, that is also an opportunity to do research, and we do that 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer. And with UROP, that pays a $1,200 stipend for 120 hours of research or creative work during the semester. We also have travel and small grants that you can apply for. Travel grants if you need to travel to a conference that you are going to be presenting at. That is also something that the office can potentially help you with. Small grants are generally for things that, if you need more supplies while you're doing your research and you don't have the funds for it, that is something that can cover it. Oftentimes we have students that come to us for small grants for things like, pipettes, beakers, chemicals that they need to do their research. For this travel and small grants, those are all reviewed on a monthly basis. So always recommend to students apply early for those. That way you can, make plans if you get it or you don't. And if you don't get it, highly encourage you to keep applying until you do. If you need any help with SPUR or UROP, or answering any of our questions about any of our funded programs, travel, small grants, highly encourage you all to book a research advising appointment. And you can book those with a student leader like Allie or Abigail, or with an OUR staff member like myself. These are just quick 15-minute appointments. We can answer any questions you have. If you need any help with research, finding a research project, finding a mentor, that is something that we can definitely help you with. As well as we do have Funding Fridays, and that is from 8:30 to 11 a.m. via Zoom. And we also have a drop-in. You can drop in person too at the SIL Center, room 005, if that would be more convenient for you. And so now you've heard from us, you've heard about SPUR. Do you all have any questions? Okay, so it looks like we have a question from Sebastian. Are all internships for 2025 posted already? Yes, they are. So if you go to our website, our.utah.edu/SPUR, like we showed you before, if you follow those links, 2 places where it says view 2025 projects, you can view all the projects that are available for summer 2025. Great question. Another question from Delta. For personal statements for SPUR, what do you guys prefer to see? Merit or just character? Oh, this is a really interesting question. Actually, we'll have our URLs answer. We'll have Abigail answer first, and then we'll have Allie. And fun fact for you all, Abigail is a former SPUR participant, and so she definitely can give you lots of neat insider tips and tricks on how to write a successful personal statement.
So I would say that character is a little bit more important, just because we do also get your resume. So that resume is going to be that opportunity for you to give that in-depth information about the experience and what it has done for you. So rather than just going over your experience in your past internships or research jobs or anything like that, I would say show how that experience has added to your character in a way that would help you be a good researcher. So definitely mention the merit still, but use it to be kind of a lead in to what your character and your skills will do to help you be a good researcher. Allie, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I always say for mine, at least that I've written, is instead of stating characteristics about yourself, like I am determined, I am responsible, and things like that, you kind of want to show, not tell, and explain how these experiences, like if you explain that you have done research before, you do it intensively, we already know that you're hardworking because of how you shared that experience. So I feel like doing more show, not tell is really important instead of wasting space with kind of adjectives and instead incorporating one story, one main story, or multiple stories about your past experiences.
Yeah, and I will just add, prefer merit or character. I feel like if you can balance the two, maybe that's a cop-out answer, but if you could balance the two, that is going to be the best. And just as a reminder, for the SPUR application, you are also submitting a copy of your transcripts. And so the faculty can see if you've taken any specific courses as well. But if you do have things like you've been awarded scholarships or you're members of clubs, things like that, that is also something that is worth mentioning in your personal statement. And you can definitely talk about that, show off all those wonderful things you have earned in the course of your research and education journey.
Angie, I just want to add to this conversation. I think that one of the things is you want to narrate in your personal statement things that aren't listed in your resume. Because if it's already in your resume, you don't need to have it mirrored in multiple places. It really does need to tell that story where we can see more into you as a person who does research. If you've not had research experience, but have had work experience, those other kind of relevant experiences, how it shows those qualities that, Ali was highlighting about the showing, not telling. And so the other thing is you have to remember that they are going to be receiving hundreds of applications. So you also want them to be able to quickly read through your letter, have your letter really proofread and read by other people to see, can I tell my story in this personal statement where somebody can just really quickly read it, get a sense of all these qualities and experiences that I have in a very quick sense. And so I know that sometimes if your writing is slowing things down, it may actually impact the reader from actually finishing reading your personal statement. So they may not even get through it and they may actually not consider you because maybe some of the projects they have is they are also thinking about having a student co-author, right? And so you really also want to shine with your writing. And I saw that there's a question, sorry, Angie, I'm just kind of taking over. I'm Dr. Fukushima, I run the Office of Undergraduate Research. I'm Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies. I saw the question over here about what are the main differences between SPUR and REU, and I just wanted to actually answer that question. Is that the REUs are actually funded by National Science Foundation for research experiences for undergraduates. It is literally a federally funded program that has its own website portal for students to apply. So while the University of Utah's Office of Undergraduate Research in our summer programs, we might partner with different REUs. So you'll see the art, chemistry REU, physics and astronomy REU. I'm just giving some examples. They may participate in our summer programs. To apply for them, you have to literally go through the NSF application system. So it's entirely different application. So if you want to be considered for that, you should apply for that separately. In addition to being applying for SPUR, summer program for undergraduate research is nationally competitive. And the difference is that we are not funded by federal programs. We are across the 18 colleges. You will see professors who are doing oral history projects and recruiting students to those that are going to be doing research in medicine, which is not traditionally oftentimes always funded by NSF, to environmental studies and what have you. And Angie will plop in the link again for the different programs, but it's just a little bit different. It has a lot to do with our funding sources. I'm going to be really frank. NSF REUs have a little bit more money, so you should actually apply for both. If that is your consideration, is they're more competitive and they are looking for specific qualities in their students, because oftentimes they may want to have a student who really does have that like high skill level that they can just integrate into their projects and all of that fun stuff. Sorry, Angie, I just popped right in. Angie knows I'm notorious for that. I just say, hello, folks. You should know me.
No, no, thank you. We always welcome any interjections you might have, Dr. Fukushima.
I
And
see there's
so,
another question, Angie.
yeah,
Do you want to read that out loud and go ahead
yeah.
and take that?
So we do have a question. Is Europe research in the same database, or how could I find out about research that is going on? And so, Dr. Fukushima, thank you for dropping that link. And so, yeah, so the Europe research, it's kind of a misconception. We have the OUR research database, and that is a database that is over. It's not an exhaustive list of all the research happening here at the University of Utah, but it is a pretty great place to start. We have over 500 active listings on there right now. That is a good place to get if you want to get started with research at any point. You don't need to wait for the summer. You can find an opportunity there right now. But sorry, how do I want to say this? Yes, the SPUR opportunities are listed on the OUR database, but the OUR database opportunities are not listed on the SPUR project page, because the SPUR 2025 project pages, that only happens in the summer. That is only for the SPUR program, and the acceptance at for SPUR, you have to submit an application. If you want to go through a research opportunity on the research database, that may or may not have an application. Some faculty like to list, they want you to fill out a questionnaire or a survey, or there is an application that they want you to fill out. However, that is not always the case. Oftentimes it is just, here's a link to reach out to this person if you are interested. And so that is the main difference in that. So we have another question here. Will Puerto Rico count as an international student? That is a great question. No, so if you are currently a resident of Puerto Rico, you are not an international student, since Puerto Rico is considered a territory of the United States. And so, yeah, Puerto Rico's students going there, Puerto Rico nationals are welcome. We encourage you to apply for SPUR, but that is a great question. And so it looks like we have a clarifying question. Just to clarify, for SPUR personal statement, it's preferred that we talk about what we achieve or capable of professionally more than how colorful or diverse you are. Okay.
Let me tackle that one,
Yeah,
Angie.
yeah.
So I guess it's like, are you referring to like who we are as people? If that matters in your personal statement, you choose to write it because you think it matters for you. So for example, if the project is actually requires, which actually I haven't memorized all the projects, but say they're doing interviews with communities and maybe they require somebody who's bilingual, right? And it's a bilingual project. Actually, it would be to your benefit if you have some bilingual skills that you would want to talk about those skills in relation to the project, whatever that may look like, whether you're a native speaker or you're somebody who learned it as a second language and have experience through that. And so it really depends on the projects you're interested in. But if you're asking the question if the faculty are going to pick you because you are you, there are very specific projects in SPUR that are partners. So an example of that where they are recruiting students because they are federally funded programs to do it would be the Happiest Project. Happiest Project is specifically for environmental research projects to work with faculty where they are federally required to recruit students who are minority students at the University of Utah specifically, because they're a federal program. But the University of Utah, our SPUR program, selects and considers all students, regardless of your background, and you can share and disclose whatever information you think will make you a stronger candidate for the project.
Thank you for that, Dr. Fukushima. I do have a question from a registrant, and it is, what should I expect as a SPUR participant, and how do I increase my chances of getting accepted? And so I will actually have Abigail start, since again, she is a former SPUR participant, and then we will have Allie.
So I would say what you can expect is basically a full-time job doing research. So you're doing that 35 to 40 hours a week, And that's going to look different for every project. So there are like humanities projects, STEM projects, language projects, like everything is going to be a little bit different. But the day-to-day of it is you're going to be working in your research project and having meetings with your mentor or maybe other people in the research project. And I would also say that you can expect to finish all of the requirements for SPUR. So Allie went over those where it was the events and like opening events, and I can't remember all of them, like some of the education series. And that's also going to be part of what you're going to be doing. As for how you can strengthen your application, I would say that you should just go over it a lot of times and show it to other people, proofread everything, make sure that you are saying everything in the most clear way possible that is going to show how you are a good candidate for doing research. And yeah, just like every word counts, every sentence counts. Make sure that they're all going towards the point that you're making, that you should be a part of this program. So that would be my main advice. But also that application workshop that we're going to hold in January, that will definitely have a lot of other information that's like specific to that to help you strengthen that. So I would also recommend going to that to help you figure out how you can make yours stronger with your specific application.
Yeah, Allie, why don't we have you answer since you have not participated in SPUR yourself, how to increase the chances of getting accepted?
Yeah, so I think I have, like Angie said, I have not participated in SPUR, but I have done Europe 2 times. And I think for any of the programs we offer, it's really important to show your passion for the research when you are writing your personal statement and just throughout your entire application. If you're new to research and don't have prior research experience, that's totally okay. I think that the curiosity then is more important than the passion since you haven't gotten that experience yet. And if you show that you're curious, if you show that you're willing to learn and willing to kind of navigate this new research experience, I think that's super important for the faculty members to see when reading your application.
Yeah, thank you both. And I will just say in terms of like what to expect as a SPUR participant, Allie and Abigail have hit on this a little bit, but some of the additional requirements outside of, working with a mentor and doing that research work, you are required to attend the SPUR. It is the orientation that will happen on the first day, as well as there's the opening luncheon, and that is something that you will attend, and your mentor will also attend, and that is definitely meant to just, chance to get to know each other in like a low stakes, friendly environment. You can meet all the other members of your cohort there and the other faculty, as well as there is the education series requirement. And so as SPUR participants, you would be required to attend all the education series events that we would be hosting that summer, and all of the events are definitely curated. All the topics are curated to help you as undergraduate researchers. So this professional development opportunity is definitely going to help you as you go along your research journey, as well as there is the biweekly meetings. And so that is something that is facilitated by myself and Dr. Fukushima. We typically do 5 meetings throughout the 10 weeks. And again, that is just more, this professional development, but definitely with those meetings, we're definitely trying to create a research community. And so, yeah, we're all doing research and it's all super fun and it's all super exciting, but, we are also a group of researchers. And so there's a lot to benefit from, being around your cohort mates, kind of talking about, your successes, and sometimes when things aren't going so well, we definitely talk about how to navigate the highs and lows of research, and that is definitely really important. Presenting at the Undergraduate Research Symposium, that is also a requirement. So at the end of the 10 weeks, you will present your work. And the Undergraduate Research Symposium, if you're not familiar with it, is a really fun event. It's for the summer, we do a poster session. And so you will have your poster showcasing the work that you've done throughout the 10 weeks. And it's a really fun event that is open to the public. We strongly encourage everyone to invite friends, family, faculty. Your mentors will be invited as well, and they can come and support you. And the final requirement is submitting to Range, the Undergraduate Research Journal. And that is something that we definitely help and guide the participants as we navigate through that.
Angie, can I just pop in, and I want to circle back to just adding, emphasizing, because earlier they had a question about like, how do I make myself competitive? And can I just say a little bit more about that? Is that okay?
Please do.
Yeah, so I think I just want to remind you all is the faculty who are reviewing these applications only have the materials that Angie and team have outlined: your personal statement, your resume, your transcripts, and your letters of recommendation. That's what they're receiving, and they're looking at to make a decision about you. There are no interviews. So literally everything you submit counts and actually really matters. You have to have excellent, strong letters of recommendation, right? Really sad when we see letters of recommendations where the reference person can only have a very short paragraph about the prospective mentee. You know what I mean? And so it's like really those letters, really all of this stuff really matters. And I think that if you are worried about your GPA or other things like that, then you need to show in your personal statement and in your resume how you have all these other things that you bring to the table. And what I would really encourage that students forget is you should have people look at your resume too, which is why we do the workshop in the spring. Because if we cannot see all these cool things and qualities about you from your resume, and by we, I mean the faculty reviewing it, then they may not score you high in it. And so I just wanted to emphasize that the materials really matter, and that's why we're doing these sessions, and folks should take your time working on it. It's really sad when students don't get a lot of feedback on their personal statements and there's typos in it, or it's unclear about what they're trying to say because they wrote it blurry-eyed and tired. And believe me, we've all written stuff blurry-eyed and tired, but this is probably not the time to do it, right? And so really think about all of that stuff. It's really important. And Megan, Megan has a question here, Angie. I'm just going to read it. It says, how many students get accepted from the U and how many students from other states? That varies by semester and on the project type, so we can't give you a trend. Is that what we know? And I could tell you is that I do encourage faculty to consider local, but it really depends what their projects need. And every summer we have different faculty that have been competitively themselves selected to mentor students. And so it just varies every summer. But what we can say, it's a very competitive program to get into SPUR, where last summer we had 640 applicants and we could only select how many students, Angie, specifically for SPUR?
For SPUR, we funded 30.
Yeah, so it's very competitive. So SPUR is very competitive. So that's just to say all your materials matter. Don't put anything to the last minute. You're here doing this session. Actually, you might even want to think about graduate school in the same way. If you're thinking about graduate school too, is you do not want to pull this stuff last minute, because then when people are looking through and you're all competitive, I'm going to tell you all are amazing, is that they will be like anything, any small reason to kind of put somebody else in the other pile, right? They're going to be looking for those reasons. So don't give them that reason. Have people look at your resume, have them look at your cover letters, get that feedback, get that support, because you're too close to your own writing to notice all the typos. Yeah.
I'd also like to add that I did not have any research experience before doing SPUR. So I was applying as someone who did not have that research experience. I was working with mostly my resume a little bit and a lot my transcripts. And other than that, I was really putting a lot of work into my personal statement. So really, you do not need to worry if you have not had the research experience before. you can still put that work in and get into the program. It's not going to make you a unfit candidate. So that's just a reminder that you don't technically, I mean, not technically, like you don't necessarily have to have been deep into research before.
Yeah, thank you for that, Abigail. Yeah, definitely. SPUR is definitely meant to be exploratory. We don't have GPA requirements. You don't have to be a rising sophomore or junior to apply. As long as you meet the eligibility requirements, you are an undergraduate degree seeking matriculated student in the United States, and you are not graduating before the December 2025 semester, you are eligible to apply. And so if you apply and you don't get in, you should not let that stop you from applying again. Apply until you get it. It's a really wonderful opportunity. And yeah, lots of great students. It's competitive, but you shouldn't let that deter you from applying, especially if you feel really passionate about any of the projects that you see on there. And so I will read another, these are great questions. If you have another question, drop it in the chat, unmute yourself, but I will read on. We have some more questions from registrants. And so another question we have is, can you do SPUR if you have done UROP? The answer is yes, absolutely you can. Like I said, as long as you meet those eligibility requirements, you are free to apply. And we definitely encourage UROP scholars that are eligible to apply. You can also apply for, if you're unsure of what you want to do this summer, you can always apply both for summer UROP and summer SPUR. And then, if you are in that wonderful category, if you got accepted into both, then you have a wonderful problem of figuring out which opportunity you want to participate in. And so that is always a really great problem to have. And so I will read another question. Is the process the same as UROP? That is to say, do I need to create an independent research proposal? No, you do not. SPUR is different from UROP in the sense, in many senses, but to your question, with SPUR, these projects and the faculty associated with the projects have been competitively selected by the Office of Undergraduate Research and the Undergraduate Research Advisory Council. And so mentors apply and they have the projects, they just need the students to apply. And so if you are interested in SPUR, you don't need to submit any sort of project proposal. You would just have to do the requirements of the application, reference letter, personal statements, resume, CV, and transcripts. And I'd also like to mention, those of you, if you are attending this session and you are University of Utah students, if you do need help with your personal statements or, making sure that your resume is also, polished and clean, highly recommend you check out U Career Services. They have lots of resources there, as well as you can book an appointment with an advisor and they can actually, help you with your personal statement. They can be that second set of eyes or third set of eyes to look over your statement, making sure everything is polished. They help lots of students as they apply for different research opportunities, internships, grad school, medical school, all that fun stuff. And so if you are needing some help, I definitely encourage you to check out that resource. It is a really great one. We do have another question from Abigail. How many hours per week are we expected to work in the research lab? Great question. So that is 35 to 40 hours a week is what students should expect to work. I will say you should expect to work a quote unquote typical schedule. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. However, that might not always be the case depending on the project. Sometimes with SPUR, we have faculty that take students on, they go on like field trips where they actually do field research. And that might require you to, work on a weekend or work, maybe a little earlier, and then you finish your day, maybe not at 5, but at 3. Things like that can also happen. Sometimes we have faculty that work with a lot of like community outreach and things like that. We've had students in the past that have to attend like, a town hall session, and those typically happen in the evening. And so that would also be, fall into the research work. But you definitely shouldn't expect to work more than 40 hours a week. And, if that is a big concern, you can always reach out to me. We can talk about it more. But yeah, 35 to 40 hours a week is typically what you should be expecting. And Abigail, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about your what was, balancing. We get a lot of questions like this. How do you sort of like balance the research work if this is kind of your first time with, a full-time job, like research as your full-time job? I don't know if you have anything to say about, balancing that out. How did it fit? Any tips you have?
I feel like my project was a little bit unique in that I don't feel like I had any sort of regular schedule. Like, I was sometimes honestly working at like 1 a.m. just because I had a deadline that had to be met the next day, and I just hadn't had enough time that week, and then it all evened out so that I was working about 40 hours a week. But yeah, it was definitely some weird hours in my case. I would say that the way to balance it is honestly kind of the same way that I balance classes during the school year. So just some time management, planning things out, saying what you're going to do every like part of the day, and just making like those to-do lists and keeping to them. And if your mentor doesn't have like a set schedule that they want you to keep, making one for yourself and making yourself be accountable for that.
Yeah, and this is a great segue, Abigail. I will mention it is also with SPUR. When I say the office, it's usually me. But yes, the office, we do require mentors and their mentees to kind of have an outline of what the summer work is going to look like. Just know that there is deviations, things happen in research, life happens. Sometimes we have setbacks and we don't quite meet our outline goals. But yeah, that is something that, if you are concerned about, like what exactly are you going to be doing in your day to day, just know that that is a conversation that you will be having very early on with your faculty mentor. And so if there are any concerns about, working funky hours, or if you're really concerned that you might be working more than 40 hours, yeah, there is a time and a place to talk about that. And that conversation will happen very early on. And so I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you so much to Abigail and to Ali and to Dr. Fukushima for all the wonderful comments, questions. Everything was so helpful, and I hope it was all helpful for you all. And I just want to remind you all, if you have specific SPUR questions, you can contact me directly. My email is there. You can book a research advising appointment. If you go on the link for the research advising, there are two types of appointments. You can book like a general appointment. There's also a SPUR specific appointment. And if you book a SPUR specific appointment, you will see that it is me or Ali that you can book an appointment with. And so if that is when you want to book an appointment, you can book it directly with us. Either appointment will get you where you need to go. But if you do have SPUR specific questions, feel free to email me directly. I welcome all questions from students. And so this is just the event eval form again for you all. We did put a link to it in the chat, and it is required for Europe and early exploration scholars to receive credit for attending this event. And this was a recorded event, so just to remind you all, it will be available on the website probably in about a week. So if you have additional questions, or if there are really good information you want to like listen back to or look at the PowerPoint slides, that will be available to you. But just as a reminder to you all, for the Office of Undergraduate Research, hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We are located in the SIL Center that is directly across the parking lot from the Student Union Center. We are in the garden level in room 005. And so you can If you want the most up-to-date information on all of our events and resources, you can get added to our listserv, and you can get the most up-to-date information. But otherwise, again, thank you everybody, Dr. Fukushima, Ali, Abigail, for your time. And we hope you all apply for SPUR. We hope to see so many applications, and yeah, good luck to everybody in the application cycle.